expect more from TR Miller, heating, cooling, plumbing.
Good morning, TR Miller listeners. Welcome to the TR Miller podcast. I'm here today with Jimmy as our co-host and Manny from HVAC Service.
Hello.
So welcome, Manny.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sorry on the short notice.
It's all right.
But I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, me too. I was like, let's go. I jumped up, got ready, and rocking and rolling. So.
I love it, man. And oddly enough, both of us kind of forgot about today, and I saw you driving yesterday on 30.
You did, yeah.
And we talked for what, 15, 20 minutes?
It was about 10, 15 minutes, yeah.
So it was cool.
Yeah, it was nice.
Well, I guess, Jimmy's going to run point today, but to go ahead and kick us off, tell us a little bit about you and how did you even get into HVAC service?
So a little bit of background. Before I started here, I was at Menards, right down the street by the shop, and did not enjoy working there. It was just not a good environment, so I was tired of working there, so...
and you were young, though.
I was 20 when I started.
Yeah.
I had just turned 20.
How old are you now?
27.
Just for
Yep.
people that
Yeah, I'm 27 now. So 7 years. I just hit the 7-year mark yesterday. I know. That's scary, getting over that hill.
That's awesome.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, I started here. Thankfully for you two interviewing me, took a shot on me and taught me everything I know and rocking and rolling here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first hires.
Manny was one of my first,
yeah.
I would say first real hires.
Yeah, okay.
Where I actually used to I wasn't like a guy, sometimes when you're small in business, it's like, hey, I know a guy.
Okay.
And it's like, well, I need help. But
Yeah,
you were
fair
like
enough.
one of the first ones, man. Like one of the first true real hires.
I remember that, yeah. That was a good time.
Yeah.
I remember we're sitting in and pretty much same setup in Tim's old office.
Yeah.
It was
That might have been like, I don't remember which one came first, you, Tyler, or Anthony, but those were the first interviews I ever did. I just was told to shut up and scribe.
And that's what I remember. You were just sitting there with your feet up on the desk.
I don't know if I would have used the word shut up.
No, it wasn't shut up and scribe. It was like, Brian's like, hey, we're going to do these interviews. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do an interview. He's like, well, I'll conduct the interview. You write the notes, and then we'll review afterwards.
Yeah, I remember that.
So going to Menards, applied at TR.
Yeah.
Were you going to school, or what made you get into, why the trades?
Why the trades? So growing up, I remember my dad did construction concrete. He's a laborer in the city. Growing up, he's like, don't ever do construction concrete. And he said, don't work as hard as I do. Go to school or do something in the trades. Going through school, I was like, I don't like doing school. I don't like sitting behind a desk, So I was like, cool, I'm going to go be an electrician. I took an electrical class in high school and loved it. And I was like, all right, well, I want to work with electricity. At the time when I was at Menards, I was taking electrical classes at Joliet Junior College. Interviewed with you guys, and I remember you guys said if you guys switch over to heating and cooling classes, we'll help you out, and then we'll teach you everything in the field. So I was like, all right, let's do that. So switched over. I enjoyed doing the electrical side on the ACs. Refrigerant, all that came pretty easy, and you guys taught me everything else. So
I think you taught yourself. I think back to, but that was, gosh, I can't believe it's been 7 years, but I think back.
Yeah.
And I think, we still make mistakes every day.
Right.
But you were kind of just literally thrown out there.
I was.
You did no experience, maybe 2 to 3 weeks of ride-alongs, and boom, in your truck.
Yeah, I was green.
Yeah, green.
I owe a lot to you guys for knowing that I was going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And Mike had a big impact on my career. So
Shout out to Mike, man.
He's awesome, man. He helped me a lot. I remember we were driving down. I shouldn't say this, but we were driving down the highway, and he's over here drawing wiring diagrams. He's like, "What's this?"
Was he in the passenger seat? I hope.
Yeah, he sure was. I was driving, so he was
funny.
teaching me as we were going from call to call. And I was with him for about 2 to 3 weeks, and you guys are, all right, Manny, here's your truck, and I was like, okay. So figured it out. But it was
a lot of things have changed in 7 years.
It has.
When it's in that perspective,
right?
How we onboard, how we train.
Yeah, I know. A lot of the new greener technicians, they have 2 months of Next Tech, hands-on, more mentorship. You had a great mentorship. It was the Hard Knocks of Life.
It was, man.
Yeah, and the one of the early memories I have of you in the field. I think the capacitor was hooked up backwards.
Yep, I know exactly where that's going.
Yeah.
I remember.
Did we even have furnaces in that room? I don't think we did.
No,
We didn't
that
have
room,
anything on
no,
site.
that room was nothing. Yeah, that was
Was it
just
storage?
Yeah,
it was
right?
just storage.
Yeah.
In the upstairs. I remember there was a door.
Upstairs
for
wasn't
it.
even done.
No, it wasn't. It was all boarded up. Yeah, it was interesting for sure. It was cool.
So it's interesting because I hear techs say, like, not to boost any egos or anything, but I hear them say, I want to be like Manny, or I want to be like Mike.
That's cool.
And so what advice would you have for technicians like that, where it's like, you know, it takes time, obviously,
Yeah.
but like, what advice would you have for them when they want to get to the level at which you guys are at?
To get to the level in which we are at. So, one thing I would say is, like you said, it's going to take time, but you have to do the work for yourself. Like, I went home and I watched videos,
Got
and
it.
you know,
Yeah.
you have to work harder on yourself because no one else. And you guys do a great job of mentoring us, but you can only take us so far. We have to implement the things you give us and actually apply that to the field.
That's fair.
And just be patient. You will definitely get frustrated with yourself. I definitely had times of frustration. I was like, why am I not getting this? I'm not good as so-and-so at this point, and I should be. Don't compare yourself to anybody else because everyone has their own path. So just take your time, be patient.
Yeah,
and-
what's that, Michael Phelps?
I think that's incredible advice, no matter the position. Like, just
Yeah.
focus on yourself. Like, everyone, the end goal is to get to the end destination, but
Right.
everyone arrives at different points in
Yep.
their life, you know, or different speeds.
Oh yeah, it took me like 5 years to become a lead guy, and like I learned slower than other people. I've seen
Yeah.
guys do it in a year and a half. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah, it's and that's just with anything in life, you know. It's just not just your career, but in personal life too. It's like if you're trying to hit the gym goals, and just like don't look at the guy next to you who's shredded. He's probably been doing this for years, you know.
Ripped.
Right, ripped.
You just look at him and say, "Oh, I'll never be like that because I can't take steroids."
Right, exactly. He's like, I'm going home. You know? No, it's all
Slippery
natural.
Yeah, that's interesting. What do you do in your free time?
My free time. So recently, I got back into snowboarding with my cousin, so that took up a lot of my winter time. Which
Where'd
was
you go?
we went to last time I was on a snowboard, to preface this, I was 17, so
Mhm.
18, so about 10 years ago. It's the last time I was on a board. I messaged him out of the blue on Instagram because he had posted something about snowboarding. I was like, hey, we should take a trip to Colorado. He's like, all right, man, I already got the dates booked. I was like, dude, it was just like so I was like, okay, cool, fine. I'll see if I can get the time off. So got the time off. We went to Colorado and snowboarded in Vail in November, and that's when we got back on a board, and it was a good time because it's steep mountains. I was like, I probably should have waited to get reacquainted with the snowboard
Yeah,
before
that
it
was
hit
the
Colorado.
first time back.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
my
wow.
first time back. It
I
was,
thought you went to like Cascade before that.
no, I thought about it, but it was too early in the season. So we went to Colorado, and then we got back, and we hit Wisconsin pretty much every weekend from December to about February.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Most impressive. So I have never been skiing or snowboarding.
Okay.
Arguably tubing.
Alright.
Yeah. And I don't think I would do it. I would just be scared
No?
to break something.
But I think you're athletic and coordinated enough. You'd be fine.
Yeah, you'd be all right.
fine.
But then my ego would jump in, and next
That's
thing you know,
alright.
I'm going down that. Is it
He's
Black
back.
Diamond?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's when things go
That's
downhill
alright.
as quickly as they started.
have a
That's
couple
literally
of-
the last time I skied. I went down a Black Diamond mogul hole or
Yeah, the
a
moguls.
slope,
Yep.
and it owned me, and I've
That's
never
okay.
skied since. It hurt. you
Builds
know.
confidence, you know.
Yeah.
What you said earlier, Jimmy? I think that's a great question and even a better response. You know, if you're a newer technician and you want to develop yourself,
Yeah.
like, well, how do you look at like what's on your radar for the next year, like for development, personally or professionally?
On the radar for the next year. So personally, I want to get back into the gym. So I was doing really good, and then have life events happen, you fall off. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, I haven't been doing that. So I'm trying to build a routine at home again, so that way I can get to the gym and do everything I want to do after work. And then professionally, I want to get back into a leadership role. So field supervisor, and then work my way up and get back into a role of leading, mentoring, and developing. So I think
How come that's so important? I'm just curious.
the reason it's so important is someone mentored me. You guys led me,
Love it.
and I want to be able to return the favor because I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have that. So
I'm gonna have to give you some knuckles, man, from across the table. So, very cool. Awesome, man. I guess Mark, how are we on time? We're doing good. Right on time, usually over time.
Yeah.
I guess what questions do you have for me and Jimmy?
So I guess I'll turn it around on you guys. Why is leading and mentoring so important to you guys?
Oh, I think that's pretty easy for me. So not to throw shade at my father, but back when I got into the trades, I remember I was 3 years in and I almost quit. It wasn't a great environment. It really wasn't mentoring of any sort. And ultimately, I don't want to create that environment for other people. And so I think by leading and mentoring people on how to communicate and how to treat people and how to treat people with respect and all of that stuff, you know, hopefully I don't have an employee that felt the way I did when I was 3 years into the trades.
Okay.
Without Brian, I would have quit. So it was just not the leadership. There was none. So making sure that that environment doesn't show up here.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And you know me, I can't believe it's been 7 years, but we've known each other for a long time. And one thing I realized this probably in the last couple of years is I like to build Legos. Like I always loved to build Legos since I was like 6 years old. Still build Legos from time to time with my daughter.
Okay.
What I've realized is I like to build things. So I really like to build structure. I like to build processes. I like to build team members.
Okay.
I like to build relationships with team members. I just like building things. But now things have kind of changed a little bit more long term. Like how can we build things to last? We talked in the last podcast not too long ago about like legacy. You know, what does legacy look like? And in our industry, you got a consolidation going on. So, it's not a bad thing. So, and what I mean by that is like, you know, a lot of people in our industry work till they can't work no more. They just work till like their hands can't function.
Right.
So it's allowed, you know, maybe 70, 80-year-olds to get out of the industry, provide for their family. But there's also a lot of consolidation going on with younger business owners too, and so they're selling their business to Wall Street essentially.
Okay.
Which isn't it's not necessarily 100% bad.
Yeah.
But now it's we're not going to do that, and so now it's like we're going to be different, and we're going to take care of our people, and we're going to build leaders, and so now the question becomes is like how can we continue to build this to last 30, 40 years of private ownership. So that's kind of where my head's at with why leadership.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I'm thinking about
I think
things.
it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I'm having more fun today than I've ever had.
You know, whether it's leadership or just people development.
Yeah.
Is I think about like when we hired you, you lived at your mom and dad's.
Yep.
West side of Joliet.
Yep.
And you bought a house.
I did.
And you bought a car, and then you bought another car.
I shouldn't have bought that
And
second
then
car, but I bought it.
drove your second car.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Do you still have it?
I still do, yeah.
Is it the Honda, right?
No, that
the
was the
Honda's
first
gone.
car. The Honda's gone.
Honda was the first
I
car.
had made bad decision, so I paid the Honda off. I was like, I'm gonna
I'm
go buy
dying.
another car.
Yeah, so you bought
I
another car.
bought a Subaru WRX.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you don't like it?
I love it. It's just I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah. And I got to drive it, and like that's fun, right?
Yeah.
So Manny was 20 years old. Manny came in. Manny worked at Menards. Manny now has a career. He's successful. He bought the house he wanted, bought the car he thought he wanted, but then found out it wasn't, and bought the car he actually wanted.
Yeah.
Like that's fun to me,
Yeah.
right? So I think about it in that aspect too. Is watching people have kids, buy their first houses, buy their dream house, like whatever it is. Is that like my mom always used to say, like when she was a kid. She didn't get to go to prom and these other things in life, so she would live vicariously through us.
Okay.
And it's kind of like exciting. Like, I didn't buy a new car, but I got to drive Manny's new car.
Right.
Manny was smiling ear to ear as we're
It
banging
was
beers
awesome,
together.
man. It was a good time.
So I think about it that too. Is like it's not just about developing leaders. It's about like helping somebody who's having a home issue and working through that home issue with them, and then you get to see them and their spouse and they're smiling together and having a good time. Is like it's selfishly a lot of self-fulfillment too.
Okay.
It's like that's fun, right? I behind the scenes know that Brian. This isn't true. We're a fable story here.
Right.
It's like Brian might have been having problems with Bridget, and I coach him and I train him and I helped him through that situation. And then we're at Whirly Ball eating pizza, having a beer, and laughing together. And so it's a lot of self-fulfillment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know me and you've had kind of conversations about this, but like things we're thinking about is, like last year was hard, and so maybe we didn't incorporate the benefits that we wanted to.
Yeah.
Things like paid holidays but like as we continue to grow is like offering more benefits.
Right,
making sure we're adding the benefits people want. So we're super passionate about that, and some things take time to build, like you said at the very beginning. But even like going back to your point, Jimmy, conversations me and you've started to have is like, what does taking care of, like, not saying that we would do this, but these are things we're thinking about is like college. Like a lot of us are young parents here, and as our kids get close, like, do we have something in place in Tierra Miller that I think there's things out there like Bright something, but it's, is that a benefit Tierra Miller can offer where people can start putting money instead of a 401k?
Into
Team
like
members can start putting,
savings,
it's Bright Direct, that's what it's called. They can start putting their money into like Bright Direction to pay for their kids' college education.
Nice.
If it's not paid by the government.
Right,
By them.
yeah, that's fair.
Not gonna touch that one.
Yeah, so that's things we're thinking about too, is just like long term, like how can we create an ecosystem that lasts for 30 plus years and take care of all our team members. So
yeah, that's funny because when I first started, when I was riding with Mike, he said, "Where else have you worked?" And I said, "Menards." I worked at Menards and AMC. Movie theater. Yep. And he's like, "So you never worked in the trades before?" And I said, "Nope." He said, "Man." He's like, "This place is awesome, man." He's like, "I would never go anywhere if I were you. They're going to take care of you. This place is awesome." I said, "Okay." And here,
Yeah, and I think that, like, yes, I agree with that notion. We try our best. Do we miss sometimes? Absolutely. But for the most part, I spend way more time than I probably want to on how we can take care of the employees.
it shows.
It's something that's a focus of Brian and I's and the leadership team.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I was telling Cynthia yesterday, I was like, "Man, Brian called me just because he saw me. This is great, man." It's awesome.
Thank God I had your number.
Yeah. I was like, "Brian's calling me. I might be in trouble. What's up now?"
Yeah.
No.
Well, awesome. We probably have time for one more question. We're probably over time, but we do have time for one more.
I'm trying to think if I got anything off the top of my head. I mean, just on the personal side, are you guys excited for any vacations or any big plans for you guys this year?
We have Jimmy's joint bachelor and bachelorette party.
See how we like highlighted joint?
Yeah,
It's not in a good way.
Okay.
Not a fan. He's not a fan of the idea of a joint bachelorette party.
So we got that coming up. Like,
Nice.
How about you? What about you? So you a lot of skiing this winter. What do you got planned?
Hiking Colorado again in September.
Enjoy, man.
So
September what?
I think we're going the 15th through the 20th.
Nice. That'll be a good time.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see it when it's snowy and in a
summer.
12-month period.
Yep.
See it when it's
It'll be
nice.
nice
That's
when
cool.
fall season comes around, so it'll be cool. Get some hiking done.
Well, awesome, Manny. We'll appreciate your time
Yeah,
today.
thank you guys.
We appreciate our listeners tuning in. If you get a chance, give this a thumbs up, give it a heart. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Expect more.
Thank you.
Comfort, more for your money. Like to think we're friendly and funny. Expect more from TR Miller. Heating, cooling, plumbing.